Hare Krishna. We would like to welcome our YouTube and Facebook Live listeners to Gita Rahasya Session 9, where we'll be discussing Chapter 19, the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna to our Zoom listeners. Om
Hare Krishna.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanatha Swami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namine. Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakatha Dhamadaya Nagara Grama Tarine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangurlangayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Again, we welcome all of our YouTube live listeners, our listeners over Facebook Live, and our listeners over Zoom. So we welcome all of you.
I'd like to take a small break and then I'll join you in a few minutes.
So while Prabhu comes back, I would like to announce the quiz participants from YouTube. We are very, very happy to announce and to congratulate Lakshmi Priya Mataji, Sharmila S. Bhakta Mataji, Ishwari Radha Mataji, Bhargavi, Hari Krishna Madali Prabhu, Kaveri Sham Mataji, Sri Lekha, Sham Priya Mataji. And from Facebook, we'd like to congratulate Meena Mataji, Rajeshwari Mataji, Ranjani Gopika Mataji, and also from personal messages, our heartfelt thanks to Flavier for her beautiful participation. So today we are in the last session of Sri Gita Rahasya. And in this session, we will be discussing the last chapter of Srimad Gita, which is chapter 18, which is entitled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation.
So, yesterday we concluded chapter 17, where Krishna is finally emphasizing the goal to surrender to him as the essence of the previous chapters. And this essence of all the previous chapters is taught in the final chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna begins his summary, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, by reiterating his prescription, Krishna's own prescription, that Arjuna should renounce the fruit of work, not just work itself, but the fruits of work, the results of work. And then Krishna reviews that dutiful, detached work brings no reaction. If we are working detached, but dutifully, then it brings no reaction.
That is Krishna again emphasizing on akarma, the perfection of working in such a way, the technique, the art of working in such a way that we do not get any reactions. That is called akarma or Krishna karma, like Srila Prabhupada would very wonderfully call akarma to be. So may we have the slide, the first slide, please? This 18th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is actually the longest of all the 18 chapters. This is the longest one, and therefore it is actually broken down into 11 sections.
So the first section is the karma section from texts 1 to 12. And this is nothing but the summary of chapters 1 to 6. So even though it's 11 sections, those 11 sections are broken down into 3 further breakdowns. So breakdown 1 is section 1 and section 2, which you are seeing on your slide. And there are 2 more breakdowns like this. So section 1 talks about karma. It's nothing but first 12 verses of the 18th chapter is nothing but the summary of chapters 1 to 6, the karma section, where he's saying the true sannyasi does not renounce his activities, but the sannyasi is detached from their fruits. One time, a person in the garb of a devotee was going in a train to Ayodhya. And so the ticket checker came and asked this person in the garb of a devotee, "Where are you going?" And this person said, "Oh, I'm going to the place where Lord Rama appeared." And the TC said, "All right, do you have a ticket with you?" And he said, the person in the garb of the devotee, he said, "No." Then the TC said, "Okay, then let's go." And this person said, "Where?" And this person in the garb of this TC, he said, "To the place where Lord Krishna appeared, which is in the prison house." So in this way, we should understand Krishna is telling that we should not be a pretender sannyasi. We should actually truly renounce all the work. So Krishna concludes that renounced order of life, that sannyas, and the renunciation of the fruits of action, which is tyaga, sannyas and tyaga are the same. But we cannot renounce something which doesn't belong to us. Does anything in this world belong to us? Nothing. Everything belongs to Krishna. Then what are we renouncing? We are renouncing the feeling, the illusion that this belongs to us. And if we can give it back in our consciousness to the person whom it really belongs, to Krishna, that is real sannyas. If one performs such work in this way, then it's renunciation in the mode of goodness. So this is about section 1 from texts 1 to 12. Then texts 13 to 18 is the summary of chapters 13 to 17 chapters, the Jnana section. Remember the jewel box? 1 to 6 chapters is the bottom of the jewel. That's the section 1 of 18th chapter. Section 2 of 18th chapter is the final 5 chapters before the 18th chapter, the Jnana section. Because Krishna, he cites the Vedanta and he analyzes those different activities, that they are comprised of 5 factors to help us perform these different activities without becoming bound. And one of the most prominent of these factors is the super soul. And the super soul, uh, in the nature, enjoyer, and consciousness, and the other chapters, he explains who are the actual doers. And the super soul is the most prominent. And acting under the super soul's direction, then one is not affected by the reactions to his actions.
The
Next
next
slide.
slide, please. The next slide is talking about the summary of the yoga ladder. This is from section 3 to section 8. Is talking first about karma. Section 3 is talking about karma, the modes, from text 19 to text 40 is talking about how the modes are the controlling factor in all of our activities. So one's work, according to the different factors which they are dictated by the modes of material nature. So this includes one's own knowledge, one's performance of action, one's understanding of those actions, one's action, and one's determination and one's happiness. So all of these activities within the universe are thus controlled by the three modes. So Krishna is explaining that how intertwining the modes have become as an integral part of our very existence. Then in section 4, Krishna explains how we are transforming from sakama to nishkam karma yoga. So freedom from reaction by performance of occupational work. So we know that yes, all work is controlled by the three modes of material nature, but yet one can act in such a way that one can become free from the influence of the work, just by acting like, even though they may be brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, or shudra, but when they act as in nishkam karma yoga while worshipping the supreme lord, they are getting no results. So this is nishkam karma yoga.
Then, section 5 of breakdown 2, from text 49 to 55, it tells about the confidential knowledge. It's now taking from nishkam karma to liberation to devotional service. And first nishkam karma, then to liberation, then to devotional service. How to perform reaction free work, that's the confidential knowledge. So it says one who is performing nishkama karma yoga, not having any desire for the results, detached work, he attains the mode of goodness, and he attains the knowledge that he's not this body. Then he finally attains the Brahman platform. And when we serve Krishna on that platform with devotion, then we reach the kingdom of God. Then we go to section 6, which is 56 verse to verse number 60, where it's talking about working in pure devotional service. That one who is on the platform of devotion, he must work under the order of the Lord, not just work, but be fully dependent on Krishna and fully conscious of Krishna at all times. This is Krishnaika Sharanam. This is only exclusive dependence and shelter of Krishna. Actually, that is the fact. We are exclusively dependent on Krishna. But we think we have so many other things to depend on. We don't have to worry about Krishna. But actually, we don't have to worry about the other things. We are just completely helplessly dependent on Him. One who is in pure devotional service realizes that yeah, suddenly, wow, I don't have any other things. Then one will become free from the control of the modes of nature. Then the section 7 is slowly approaching the most important verse. But in this section, 61 to 63 verse, from confidential knowledge, it's now going to more confidential knowledge, where not only just performing nishkam karma, but also surrender to the super soul within the heart. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So now it's talking about Paramatma, that the understanding I'm the spirit soul and one should surrender to the super soul. Then section 8 talks from 64 to 66, very, very confidential. Here is where you get the two jewels on top of the Jnana Yoga lid of the jewel box. And those two jewels are verses 65 and 66. So 64 to 66, the most confidential knowledge is talked about. Earlier, the confidential knowledge was 56 to 60, 61 to 63 is more confidential, 64 to 66 is most confidential. How to become a pure devotee of Krishna. Always think of Krishna, become Krishna's devotee, worship Krishna, offer all our homages unto Krishna. Surrender to Krishna and not be fearful of sinful reactions.
And then in the next section, can we have the next slide? In section 9, Krishna is talking about, from verses 67 through 71, Krishna is stressing the importance of sharing this important subject matter. And he says that one who does this, how dear they become to Krishna. And also about the importance of studying the Bhagavad Gita. That Krishna is saying that one who explains this knowledge of the Gita to non-envious devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. So those who study the Gita worship Krishna with their intelligence, and faithful and non-envious hearers, they become free from sinful reactions. So this is the glories of the Gita being talked about. Then section 10, which is 72 and 73, these two verses only, where Arjuna becomes firmly fixed. After listening to the entire Gita, then, Krishna says to Arjuna, I have given you everything, my dear Arjuna. But at the end, then Krishna says, Yathechasi tatha kuru. I have given you everything. Now you deliberate on it and do what you wish to do. And at that time, after listening to the entire Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna is fixed. And he is telling Krishna that, Krishna, I will act according to your instructions. Whatever you say, I will do. And then the final section, which is section 11 from text 74 to 78, is Sanjaya's predictions. The Bhagavad Gita is concluding with the words of Sanjaya, where Sanjaya is ecstatically, he's thinking about the wonderful form and this most beautiful conversation that he had the privilege of listening to by the mercy of his spiritual master Vyasadeva. So, and Sanjaya predicts that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there is bound to be victory, all opulence, and, everything auspicious will happen wherever there is Krishna. So that is the final verse of this chapter. So can we have the next slide, please? So this is 18.42. There are 10 important verses in this chapter. So we will recite in Sanskrit just the important out of these 10.
So here in this verse, 42nd verse, Krishna is talking about the different qualities by which a Brahmana is known or he works. Again, because Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is by qualities, not by janma. Peacefulness. A Brahmana is self-controlled. He is austere, he has purity, tolerant, he has honesty and wisdom, knowledge, renunciation. But then one who is even above a Brahmana is someone who is transcendentally situated. He at once realizes he never laments for anything, and nor does he hanker or desire for anything.
Could we have the next slide? This is the next slide.
And therefore, he's equally disposed to everyone. And then they are able to attain pure devotional service. How can we not lament and not hanker for anything that we don't have? One of the biggest ways that we can do that in a very simple way is to be always thankful to Krishna. Always say, Krishna, thank you. Whether we are in a good situation or a bad situation. Try saying, when we are in not so good situation, try telling Krishna, thank you so much. Thank you for what you still have given me. And actually realize we don't deserve anything. We actually rejected Krishna from the spiritual world and came here according to Bhagavad Gita. As he says, Ichhadvesha samuttena dvandva mohina bharata. So Krishna is still maintaining us. He doesn't need to. We don't deserve that. But Krishna, let's thank Krishna for the air that he's giving us, that he's allowing us to breathe. Thank Krishna that I ate today. Be thankful to Krishna that there is roof on top of my head. Be thankful to Krishna that there is someone who cares for me. Be thankful to Krishna about these basic things of life, whether we are in good situation or in bad situation. And if we are thankful and express our thank, we will not lament for anything that we have lost, because we are thankful for what we have. We are focusing on what we have, not out of arrogance. Sometimes if we focus on positive things, we have to be very careful, because thinking positively may bring some pride. But if we think positively out of thankfulness to Krishna, out of gratefulness to Krishna, then that positivity will bring humility. So, positive thinking is very important, without which we actually cannot live. But we must think positively in a proper consciousness of gratefulness. And Krishna says that if someone is in distress, a devotee is in distress, in this purport of the second chapter, that uh, sukheshu dukheshu anudvignamana sukheshu vigataspriya vitarag bhaya krodha. Meaning, if a devotee, when he is in distress, he doesn't lament, because he thinks, I deserve much worse. What Krishna is giving is just a very small token just to purify me. And I still have faith in Krishna. And then if we get something, if we are in happiness, so called sukha, we still say, thank you, Krishna. I don't deserve this, but you have given it as a gift. I will hold it dear, because this is a gift given from you. I will take responsibility and take care of your gift. I don't deserve it, but I got a deal. And so, in that way, we are very happy that Krishna gave us and thankful. If we always remain in this situation, which is not very easy, but by practice, automatically our mind will be trained to practice gratefulness, then we have a chance to achieve never laments nor desire to have anything. And then we'll be happy emotionally, spiritually, and physically by having this grateful attitude.
Beautifully spoken, Prabhu. Really from the heart and from personal realizations, I can say that really, really heart touching. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing that. So we go to the next slide. This is 1855, very important verse. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyashchasmi tatvata tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. One who can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as He is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So you can see in the slide how beautiful is the kingdom of God. How Krishna is beautifully playing around with his friends, and he is really having a blast, so to speak. This is how it is in the spiritual world. So This is what Krishna is guaranteeing, that if we can render devotional service to Krishna purely and become a surrendered soul unto him, then we enter into that kingdom of God. Next slide, please. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
This particular verse, there are personal memories attached to this particular verse, because the first lecture on Bhagavad Gita by my spiritual master was, I heard the first lecture of his on Bhagavad Gita on this verse. Mat chita sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaran nashrosyasi vinanksyasi. And these words, especially the words, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. And I remember I had only that lecture. In those days, there were tapes. And in 94, 95, I used to just keep hearing that same lecture again and again, again and again. And I had almost all of the main points like memorized. But every time I would hear, I would get something new from that lecture. So this is the power of Bhagavad Gita. This is the power of hearing from realized souls. And so, yeah, just reading this verse brought back such wonderful memories.
And it's surprising and truly amazing that you remember this after these many years. So that's wonderful. Next slide, please. 1861. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy.
Now we come to one of the most important verses, one of the jewels.
Next slide, please.
Next slide. 18.65. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me, offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is one of the important verses. This is the only verse which is repeated twice in Bhagavad Gita. One in the 9th chapter and the other in the 18th chapter, right in the middle and right at the end. This shows how dear this verse is to Krishna, how Krishna wants to emphasize this again and again. Just think about me, become my devotee, worship me. This is an instruction by Krishna himself. If we follow this, how will we not achieve success?
The next one, please. Next slide. This is 1866. This is the second jewel on the lid that is covering the jewel box. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So this is Krishna saying that just surrender unto me. Just surrender. Now, many devotees ask this question, that what does Krishna really mean by this word surrender? So Prabhu, please, if you can explain what surrender actually means.
So here it says, abandon all varieties of religion. Sarva dharman. What does it mean by dharma? Does it mean Christianity, Islam and all these different religions, is Krishna saying abandon them? No. When Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, some of these religions did not even had come into being. So Krishna is definitely not talking about them. He is talking about abandon all kinds of misconceptions other than bhakti. And he says that Mam ekam sharanam vraja. And some of the acharyas says, why is Krishna using the word vraja? Vraja means certainly take, but vraja is also vraja bhumi,
Vrajadham.
vrajadham. He's saying take shelter of the vrajadham in one sense, and I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Surrender unto me. What does surrender means? In one of the sessions, one of the devotees had asked, what is really the meaning of surrender? And we had actually Srila Prabhupada in the purport to this verse, he writes this Sharanagati, which is the Mula mantra for the Sri Sampradaya. Just like for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it's the essence is Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. From Srimad Bhagavatam, Tatte Anukampasu Samikshamano Bhunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam Ritvak Vapurbhir Vidadhan Namaste Jiveta Yo Mukti Pade Sadai Bhak. One who is always thankful. This is the verse of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Tatte Anukampasu Samikshamano Bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. Rit vak vapur vidadhan namaste. One who offers obeisances to me with his heart, mind, and body, even while going through bad situations. One who is grateful to me, thankful to me. Even then, that person is surely an heir to the kingdom of God. Mukti, to liberation. And the highest kind of liberation is going back home, back to Godhead. So that is the essence verse for us. Also, Trinadapi Sunichena, be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, ready to offer all respects to others and expect none in return. In the same way, for Sri Sampradaya, it's this Sharanagati verse. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam रक्षिष्यति इति विश्वासो गोपतृत्वे वरणं तथा आत्मनिक्षेपकार्पण्यं षड्विधा शरणागति. These are the six symptoms of surrender. Is anukulasya sankalpaha, that we are doing things that are favorable to Krishna consciousness. In Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami has given 6 things that are favorable to devotional service. By the way, after the Purushottam month ends and before the Kartik month starts, in between the 9 or 10 days, we would be discussing different sessions on Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction, which gives practical tips on how to practically apply spiritual life in today's day and age. And so stay tuned for that. But here's a glimpse of the Nectar of Instruction. It says, Anukulasya sankalpaha, which means to do things that are favorable to Krishna consciousness. Pratikulasya varjanam, to not do things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. So what are the things that are favorable for Krishna consciousness? Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita says that Utsaha nishchaya dhairya tat karma pravartanat asat sangatyaga sato vritte shadbhir bhakti pranishyati prasidhyati, which means there are 6 things which advance our devotional service. Utsaha nishchaya dhairya, to be enthusiastic, determined, and patient. These 3 things, if we have together, this will help us in our spiritual life. Tat karma pravartanat, following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles, waking up early in the morning, that kind of a thing. And ultimately, Asat sangatyaga sato vritte, to give up bad association. That means not just bad association of physical association, but even mental association. What kind of books we read, what kind of websites we visit, what kind of uh, friends we have, what kind of talks do we do, what kind of thoughts do we think. These are all come under association. We should give up the bad association. If we think negative of someone, we are actually associating with that person's bad qualities. So we should give that up as well. And satovritte, and associate with devotees. These are the six things. Prasidhyati, Shadbhir Bhakti Prasidhyati. These six things will advance our devotional life. These are Anukulasya Sankalpa. And then what are Pratikulasya Varjanam? What are the things which are not favorable to devotional service that we should not do? Again, Upadeshamrita comes to our rescue to explain to us. Because it's very vague. Don't do things that are not favorable to devotional service. Yeah, but what are they? Here it is in Upadeshamrita. Srila Rupa Goswami, he's saying, Atyahara prayasascha, uh, Atyahara prayasascha, which means atyahar, to do too much endeavor, is prayasash. Atyahar means to eat too much, which means that atyahar, ati ahar, to eat more than necessary. That is not good for devotional service. Prayasascha, which means to endeavor. We can endeavor, we should endeavor for some success. But over endeavor means when we neglect our family life, neglect our body, neglect our mind, neglect our spiritual life, stop chanting because, oh, I have a lot of work to do. That is prayasascha. Prajalpo niyamagraha. Prajalpa, which means to talk mundane things that are not related to Krishna consciousness. This is pratikul. This is not favorable for Krishna consciousness. Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha means, niyama agraha means to not follow the regulative principles. Niyama agraha means to follow too much strictly. Even if we follow too strictly the regulative principles, then that makes our heart very hard. When we follow too strictly, not the regulative principles, definitely we must follow strictly, but the rules and regulations of fasting and this and that, all of that, without understanding the purpose.
And also sometimes just using our mental speculation that, oh, it says that we should eat only fruits, I'll do something which is, oh, I'll do only juices, that's something that I'll do. That is also niyamagraha, means manufacturing our own austerities, which is not mentioned in the shastra. That is also niyamagraha.
Janasangascha laulyam cha, which means janasangash, to associate with non-devotees, with the materialistic mentality. That's what it means. Not necessarily people, but that mentality. Laulyam cha, to be greedy. Greedy for material possessions. Shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. These six things, they destroy our bhakti. So if we do the six things that advance bhakti and not do the things that destroy bhakti, these are the first two symptoms of surrender. Anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjanam. Rakshishyati iti vishvaso, which means we have firm faith to please Krishna, to have faith in Krishna. Shraddha shabde vishwas kohe sudhrida nishchay. Krishna bhakti koile sarva karma krita hoy. Which means that what is vishwas? What is the greatest faith? That faith means to have the belief that just by performing Krishna consciousness, all other things will be taken care of. Krishna bhakti koile sarva karma krita hoy, especially chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And then Rakshishyati iti vishvaso gopatritve varanam tatha, which means accepting the Lord as one's guardian or master, like serving him in that way, that he will protect me and he's my guardian. I have completely given up myself to him. I'm dependent on him. That's what it means to be a guardian. So gopatritve varanam tatha means to exclusively depend on Krishna for things to happen. And atma nikshepa means fully surrender. Karpanyam is humility. Shadvidha Sharanagati. These are the 6 symptoms of surrender. So if we want to know whether we are surrendering or not, every moment we need to surrender. Every moment, because Maya tests us. Maya comes and says, "Oh, you're such a nice devotee. You've surrendered so much for so many years. You know what? You are to devotees, especially Maya comes and says, you're very surrendered. You should give your whole life to Krishna. All your coming years you give to Krishna. All your months and days and weeks you give to Krishna. And I will help you in engaging in Krishna's service all these hours that you have. But just this one moment give to me. Just enjoy. It's okay. Anyway, you have the whole life is there. You can give it to Krishna, no problem. This one moment give to me.
And what is the counter offer that the devotee, the clever and the intelligent devotee who gives, who is completely surrendered to Krishna, what is that counter offer that they give to Maya?
So before that, actually, we think, yeah, this one moment to give Krishna is not that big a deal. Okay, let me give this one moment to Krishna. So we give one moment to Krishna. All right, let's enjoy a little bit. It's okay. Too much Krishna consciousness is not good. And then we give that one moment to Maya. And then Maya says, did anything happen? Did you fall down or something? No, nothing happened. So why don't you give me one more moment? Anyway, whole life you're going to give to Krishna. What's the point? What's the problem? We say, yeah, nothing happened. I mean, people were saying, oh, Maya, Maya. It's not that big a deal. So then we give one more moment to Krishna, to Maya. And then one moment, and then one more, and one more. And then years go by, and suddenly we realize, wow, I wanted to surrender to Krishna, and where am I going? So a devotee, he or she actually responds to Maya, as Kalasudha mentioned, in a similar fashion, just like Haridas Thakur did. When Haridas Thakur was allured, was sent, a prostitute was sent to allure him. At that time, what did Haridas Thakur say? He said that, yes, I will enjoy. I have to finish my rounds. Let me complete my, 192 rounds. And as soon as I'm complete that, I will come and enjoy with you. So this prostitute kept waiting, and she fell asleep. Then Haridas Thakur finished his chanting. He also went to sleep. Then he got up. He took his bath. He started chanting again. When the prostitute woke up, she was like, "Oh, you said that you promised me." Yeah. But you were sleeping, so I just now continued. Now I have to finish more 192 rounds. After that, we'll see. We'll do. So she's waiting, and in this way, just hearing the Mahamantra from the lotus lips of Srila Haridas Thakur, she became transformed in a few days. In the same way, we should also tell Maya Devi, I will give my whole life to you. I will give all the months, years, and days and weeks to you. I will give this entire day to you. Just this one moment, let me surrender to Krishna. Mm-hmm. Let me do some devotional service to Krishna. This one moment, that's all. And then when this moment passes, you again say, look, I'm yours, Maya Devi. Nothing, no problem. Let me just one moment to Krishna, because all we really have is this one moment. Everything else in the future is a false promise. What we really have is this one moment. And so we must choose. Here when he says that always surrender to me, that he's saying that Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Sharanam vraja in this moment, not someday in my life. This one moment, this moment, present moment. Which moment? This one, which just left. And which one? This one. I'll surrender to Krishna. When we do that, then moment by moment by moment, when we surrender, we have this choice. Every moment we have this choice. Just because I surrendered this moment does not mean that I will not surrender the next moment. That it's guaranteed that I will surrender the next moment. It's possible I may choose not to surrender the next moment, unless we are pure devotees who choose to always surrender every moment of their life to Krishna. Because every moment we have this choice. So it's very, very important that we understand this, and we say that we these 6 symptoms of surrender we understand, and make sure, evaluate, reevaluate, am I surrendering to Krishna as per these 6 symptoms in this moment? If not, let me do it right now.
Wonderful. So we move on to the next slide, please. This is 1868. Remember, we were talking about the section where Krishna is talking about what happens to one who shares Krishna's Bhagavad Gita with others. So this is 1868. Yaidam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvabidasyati bhaktim mahi param kritva mame vaishyati samshaya. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. So, Srila Prabhupada clarifies in the purport that here Krishna is saying that one who reveals the secret to devotees. So does that mean that new people who have not heard about Krishna are not recipients of this knowledge? No, Srila Prabhupada explains that everyone is a potential devotee. That is why Srila Prabhupada says, just like when, an pile of ash is covering some firewood, all you need to do is blow. If you blow, the ash blows away, all the ashes blow away, and there'll be, fire that is there in the woods that will rekindle the fire again. So Krishna consciousness is like that. It is dormant in every living entity's heart. And just a little bit of blowing of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will reawaken and re-establish our lost relationship with Krishna. So therefore, everyone is a potential devotee, and everyone is, to be reciprocated with these teachings of Krishna. Next slide, please.
Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakritama bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
So in this regard, I just remembering a story. There's a story of a miser. There were 2 friends. One of them was a very miserly person. So both of them were once taking a boat ride, and by mistake, the miser friend fell into the water. And when he fell into the water, he didn't know how to swim. And he was struggling. He was about to drown. And everyone on the boat, they said, here, give me your hand. Give me your hand. We'll save you. We'll pull you out. And this man was not listening. He was not reacting. He was just, oh, save me, save me, save me. And he was drowning. So then everyone was saying that, is he crazy? Why is he not giving his hand? So then immediately his friend came and said, you see, my friend, and he just said, okay, side, everyone side, please. I'll bring my friend out. And he came to the side of the boat and he said, hey, my dear friend, take my hand. And immediately the drowning miser took his friend's hand and he came out of the water. Then everyone said, what did you do? What did you say that he took your hand and he didn't take our hand? Then he said, you see, my friend, he's a super miser. The word give doesn't exist in his dictionary. So when he always saying, give me your hand, give me your hand, he's not given anything in his life. So how can he give his own hand to even save himself from drowning? So as soon as I said, take my hand, take is very, very good in his dictionary. He uses it every line, he uses take. So that's the motto of his life, take, never give. So this is how a miserly person is. So Krishna is saying that we have this transcendental knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita now with us, all of us. So now our duty is not to be like that miser, but rather give this knowledge of Krishna to everyone, however we can, the best possible way we can. Let's give this knowledge of Krishna to others. So then what happens is, after Krishna spoke all of these verses, this is Krishna speaking in text 69, then Arjuna, Krishna tells Arjuna that I have now told everything to you, my dear Arjuna. Now you do what you wish to do. Yathechasi tatha kuru. Then text 73, Arjuna responds,
Arjuna
Nashto moha smritirlabdha tvat prasadan mayachyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now completely gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. So Arjuna was ready to act. Now this brings us to the last verse of this chapter, text 78. The next slide, please. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruvanitir Matir Mama.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there also will certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. This is my opinion.
This is the opinion of Sanjaya, that there is bound to be opulence, victory, power, morality.
Can we stop the presentation, please, for a few minutes?
So here in this regard, we want to conclude this beautiful teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita? We want to conclude with a very beautiful story. This story is from the Padma Purana. It talks about that there was a very wonderful king. He was very, very, charitably disposed. And he would, give lot of charity. So one time he had invited all the brahmanas in his state to come and take prasad in his palace. So the cook, the royal cook, the chef was cooking many offerings. And then when the kitchen was falling short, so he was coming out after every preparation, putting it in a nice little bowl, and he was bringing it out into the courtyard and keeping it over there. So he was doing that. And then, so he was lining up all the preparations. At that time, in the sky, there was an eagle that was flying. And the eagle had clasped in its claws a dead snake. So that dead snake, when it was flying over, the eagle was flying over the palace, little poison from the dead snake's mouth dropped into one of the dishes. A few drops of poison dropped into one of the dishes. Nobody noticed it. And then the feast started. The king started serving the brahmanas. And that particular dish, when it was served, some of the brahmanas just immediately, they were, affected by that poison. And then they said, oh, this king, he gave us poisonous food. Stop eating, stop eating. And nobody took prasad. So everyone was very disturbed that how can this king, the king was disturbed. How did this happen? He called the chef. The chef said, no, I don't know anything. And then this perplexed even Chitragupta in Yamaloka. In Yamaloka, the accountant of Yamaraj, who keeps, accounts of all living entities, karmas. He came with his laptop. He came to Yamaraj and said, "Oh, Yamaraj, there's a big problem, big problem." Yamaraj said, "Oh, what big problem? What happened?" He said, "See, this incident happened. And so this karma, this sinful karma of these brahmanas getting affected by that poison, in whose account the brahmanas got killed. There's Brahma Hatya. So in whose account should this sins of killing the brahmana, in whose account should it go? Should it go to the eagle because it was carrying the snake? But it's not the eagle's fault. Should it go to the snake? But the snake was already dead. Should it go to the cook? The cook didn't even know what happened. Should it go to the king? Because it happened in the king's palace. No, none of these four people are at fault. So Yamaraj said, okay, my dear Chitragupta, put this on hold. Let's not put this, in anybody's account yet. Let's wait. So then Chitragupta said, all right, my lord, I put it on hold. And then a few months passed. Then there was, a few brahmanas who came from out of state. A few brahmanas visited this kingdom. And when this, brahmanas came, the king again invited these brahmanas to take prasad. There was an old lady, and she was sitting at the entrance of the palace. And she called the brahmanas and said, look, 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 be very careful. This king, don't trust this king. A few months ago, what happened? This is what happened. A few brahmanas died, because of the poisonous food that is served by this king. So I'm just saying, you be better careful. So then Yamaraj immediately called Chitragupta. Chitragupta, come here with your laptop. Come here. And then Chitragupta said, yes, my lord. He said, that sin, the Brahma Hatya sin that was kept on hold, put it in the account of this old lady. Chitragupta said, why? Why, my lord, to this old lady? And I request Prabhu to please share, why did Yamaraj put this karma in the account of that lady?
Yamaraj told Chitragupta that none of them actually relished or enjoyed from this situation that they have to suffer now, except this lady who criticized the king, and as a result she gets it, but she also relished the criticism. So she's the only one who actually enjoyed this whole situation. So she's the one who would be held responsible for that particular karma.
So also she was, spreading false rumors. She had envy towards the king, and she didn't like that the king was getting so popular because of his charitable, disposition. So out of envy, she did this. So this is the main message of the Bhagavad Gita. That Bhagavad Gita is meant for upholding moral values, for upholding moral principles, which Krishna represents. So not only is, the message of the Bhagavad Gita that, yes, we have to be, surrendering to Krishna. We must lead a life that is centered around Krishna. But at the same time, we must uphold our moral values too. So this is the main understanding with which we would like to conclude. There's one other thing.
One time, right after Mahabharata war ended, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. Then for 18 days there was the war. And at the end of the 18th day, when the Pandavas won, Krishna asked Arjuna, Arjuna, please get down from the chariot. And Arjuna said, Well, my dear Krishna, please, first you, out of respect, as well as I'm the warrior, I have to pass through, through the steps down. So if you, alight first, it would be good. Krishna said, no, I insist. You get down first. If you have to jump from the chariot, do that. So Arjuna looked around. All right, you told me, I've always followed what you have asked me to do. I fought the whole war because you asked me to. So then Arjuna, he jumped from the chariot down. And then Krishna came down from the chariot. And as soon as Krishna put both his steps on the ground away from the chariot, the entire chariot just disintegrated and burst into flames. And Arjuna was shocked looking at that. What just happened? This, this chariot, this was the most powerful chariot. How come it got disintegrated? And Krishna was smiling. He said, this chariot actually was supposed to be disintegrated long time ago, several days ago, because it had taken so much negativity, so much negative energy was directed towards this chariot, towards you. And all these weapons that were thrown on this chariot was supposed to burst into flames long ago and disintegrate. But because I was maintaining, my potency was maintaining this chariot. And now that the war is ended, as soon as Krishna left, that potency left and this chariot disintegrated. So wherever there is Krishna, as it says, wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there is Shri, opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. As soon as Krishna leaves, everything goes up in flames.
Just disintegrates. So can we just have the last slide, please? So this Bhagavad Gita that we covered, it has total 18 chapters, over 700 verses. So these, the last verse, the last slide, please.
Next one.
The next one, thank you. So out of this 700 verses, one verse was spoken by Dhritarashtra. 40 verses were spoken by Sanjaya. There were 84 verses that were spoken by Arjuna and 575 verses that were spoken by Krishna. So this is the breakdown of the entire Bhagavad Gita. With this, we end our session today. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there's any questions, comments, reflections, we can just please open the floor. We can unmute everyone, but please stay unmuted. If you want to speak, please unmute yourself and speak. So.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Shyampriya Devi Dasi. First of all, I would like to thank you so much for taking so much of the time and teaching us the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And from this class, I have learned so much, and I'm going to try my very best with Krishna's mercy. And of course, please bless me that I can go further in my spiritual progress. And I will take all your instructions. I will try to take the best and do best in my life. And one thing I just had a realization which I wanted to share about Prabhu, what he was telling about the Maya Devi.
Mm-hmm.
So in the morning, when I don't feel like getting up in the morning, in the Brahma Muhurat, all that time, sometimes I'll get up and then I'll say, oh, it's just 3 o'clock, let me sleep for 10-15 minutes more. So then I remember like how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you have to hit those 100 shoes on your head.
Yes.
So I remember that word and I just get up right away. I'm like, yes, I have to get up because Maya Devi is attracting me. So I tell the same thing. I'm like, no, Maya Devi, not today. You can come some other day. So that's how I get inspiration. So I just wanted to share that. That makes me get up early in the morning every day. So.
Very well.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you.
Garima.
Yes, Garima.
I have a question that Krishna has that Brahman around. So I heard that when Krishna like has that Brahman and it's so it's it's so bright that no one can see his body. So how did the Gopas play with Krishna? They can't see him.
Very nice question, Garima. Very nice question, Bacha. Yes, the Gopas, they played with Krishna because their vision is, you know what their vision is? Their vision is not ordinary vision. Like Lord Brahma speaks in the Brahma Samhita, he says, Premanjana Shurita Bhakti Vilochanena Shanta Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So their eyes are tainted with prema, with love. So therefore, they can see Krishna as he is standing right there in front of them.
So they have that vision to see Krishna like how Arjuna had that vision.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Garima. Anjuji, please. Please share.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Radhe.
Jai Shri
Today,
Radhe.
I'll start with the darshan of my Laddu Gopal.
Hari Bol, Jai Gopalji. Jai Thakurji Maharaj ki jai.
But I don't know why it's not. The camera is the.
No, we did see him.
Okay, I'm just trying. I don't know why the camera is not turning. Just a sec. I'll just do again. Okay, this way.
Yes, Jai Thakurji Maharaj ki jai.
Laddu Gopal. Okay, so with his complete surrender and Sharanagati and your priceless and true devotional services for Krishna and the devotees, I just don't have words to say anything. It's priceless. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Krishna, for everything. And was I will just say, but God, like just do your. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't have that. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Kirti.
I wanted to share what I liked about the Gita Rahasya sessions.
Yes.
What I like a lot about these sessions are the stories, and the stories really mean a lot to me. And when I was reading Bhagavad Gita before, I just used to read the sloka and the purport and the translation. I never looked in the meaning that much. And I never really understood the sloka. I just read it and I just memorized it and that's it. But Gita Rahasya has made me really understand the sloka and really get to know the sloka. Thank you so much, Mataji and Prabhuji.
Wonderful.
Love you,
so
love you,
Prabhuji
Kirti.
and Mataji. Thank you so much for your like. It is really a wonderful session. Mataji, I have one question.
Yes.
Like you have been saying that if you are being in any situation, like might be it is a happiest moment or it might be the bad moment, we need to have to develop that gratitude to thank Krishna, like you have like you have been explaining about that, right? Like you have to be in the same way, like you should not think, oh, I have lost everything, I have made like some mistakes, so because of that, so how we will develop that attitude, Madhuri? Like is it possible, like in that situation, to think about Krishna and say that thank you to him, even though it is a bad situation? I have to know that, Prabhuji and Mataji. Can you please help me?
Yeah, that is very difficult. It's not easy.
Yes.
But at the same time, there are two ways that we can say thank you to Krishna. If any bad situation is happening, we say thank you for all the good situations that have happened so far. and with me, with us. And say someone has lost something that is very dear to them, we can be grateful for the time, all the time that we had so far. If we think that I actually never deserved it, I never deserved to have it. It was not in my karma, but still Krishna gave me as his mercy. Mercy means something that we do not deserve. If we deserve, then it's karma. So the root of being grateful is to understand I don't deserve it. We
Yes.
we lament for things because we think I deserved it. It was mine. I deserved it. I worked so hard for it. Yeah, but everything belongs to Krishna. We don't deserve it. It is his. If he's giving us for some time, that is completely his prerogative. We are we are being given that thing to be so that we can take care of it on behalf of Krishna for however long Krishna wants us to take care of it. Now that it is left,
Yes.
I'm thankful, Krishna, that at least for so many years you allowed me to have that thing and take care of it. And so we be grateful for the time that we had. Then Krishna is pleased and he'll give much, much more in devotion. He's pleased
Yes.
because Krishna wants all of us to be always thankful. Tatte nukampa susamikshamano, that verse that Brahma spoke to our Krishna, Srila Prabhupada emphasized that verse so many times, that be thankful, be thankful always. That's one way. The other way of being thankful is that one time Srila Prabhupada, his finger there was a cut on his finger, and there was blood coming, and all devotees were going, putting, trying to save Prabhupada's blood and all of that. And Prabhupada said, it's okay. Actually, my whole hand was supposed to be cut. But Krishna is so merciful. He just gave me a small cut on the finger, just so that I can be careful and I can, for my purification. It was actually the bad situation should have been 10 times worse based on my karma. But Krishna has reduced that karma and given me something that I again do not deserve. I deserved much more, much worse. But only this much has happened. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you for not letting that so much big, worse thing happen. So in two ways we can be grateful in a bad situation. One is for the good times that we have had, and secondly for the that things could have been worse. And thank you, Krishna, you did not allow, because of associating with devotees, by their mercy, Krishna, I have full faith you are taking care of me, and you have given me a small token of what I actually deserve. And it is not just a mental state, but it is actually a fact. It is a fact of life. And if we think like that, that will please Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu and
Wonderful
Mataji.
answer. Thank you.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. So we have
Hare Krishna.
Padma Lochani Mataji. She has her
Hare
hand
Krishna.
raised.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Who is the little one?
I'm Tulsi.
Yes, Tulasi, we missed you.
And so I like the story which the king, which the Padma Prong story was there.
Okay. Thank you.
I also like this story. That the lady said to the king that the king had the poison. He do.
Thank you, Bacha. Thank you.
And Mataji, thank you for your association, and we are looking forward for the NOI instruction. I heard Prabhuji mentioning that you are going to have the session after the
Yes.
Purushottam.
Yes.
Will be very
And many devotees have requested that we continue even the Zoom sessions from tomorrow also, when we do the Purushottam month, when we start. So tomorrow's session, we are going to do like an Adivas ceremony, where Adivas means in preparation for Purushottam month. And we are continuing to receive all the home program requests. So please, we request all devotees to start filling out the calendar, and please fill in your slots so for the home visits, and book and reserve your slot. And these sessions, we will continue them also on Zoom, but we'll share the specific link from tomorrow onwards. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. Let's see who else is having their hand raised.
Mataji, can I ask one question?
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, you mentioned that we need to do the 33 key lamp every day, right?
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, did you mention anywhere we have to do 33 lamps every day? Just wanted to understand that.
It is mentioned, but can we also discuss more in detail about it tomorrow when we do the Adivas for Purushottam month? But yes, it is mentioned in the Hari Bhakti Vilas that we, if possible, we can do 33 lamps every day. That is very ideal. But
Thank
at
you,
least on
Mataji.
the Ekadashi days, if we can do, that is also very good. So, thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I speak? Rajalakshmi from
Yes,
Chennai.
yes, please.
Mataji, I am very happy about this Gita Rahasya. I learned a lot of things from this session. I request you to explain the mode alone again, so that we can start this Bhagavad Gita continuously in this mode. The mode aspect alone, I want the explanation again.
Okay, so the mood in which we try to understand the Bhagavad Gita is, the first qualification is that eagerness. Just to have, even faith, we can have it later. But first, if we just have little eagerness to learn about the Bhagavad Gita, to make a valuable and a tangible change in our life, like Arjuna, just imagine how Arjuna's position was. So that's why he became the perfect disciple of the Bhagavad Gita, because he learned the Bhagavad Gita in that mood of urgency. So when we try to approach the Gita with that mood of, genuine, eagerness, with that faith, that will help us in having the faith in the words of the Gita. And then, like the concluding story that we gave, that yes, we need to have, the Bhagavad Gita teaches us devotion to Krishna, how we need to surrender to Krishna, how we need to worship Krishna, how we need to make Krishna part of our lives. These are the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. But how also we need to have moral values in our own lives, that is also very, very essential. So these are the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
One more thing, if I could add, is Srila Prabhupada, he took so much time and effort and energy to write these purports, these wonderful purports. In fact, Prabhupada would say, Krishna is dictating and I'm writing.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to write even one book, but Prabhupada wrote so many books and translated Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, all the 12 cantos, and then Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the other books. So as a reciprocation in gratitude to that, if we read the book, you will actually feel that Srila Prabhupada is taking us on his lap like a small baby and explaining this purports, revealing the teachings of Bhagavad Gita to us. So if we just before reading Bhagavad Gita, meditate on Srila Prabhupada, his sacrifice, his love for us, then you will see that Prabhupada would reveal these purports of Bhagavad Gita to us.
And also,
Sure.
like these enlightening purports by Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago by Krishna. But Prabhupada's enlightening Bhaktivedanta purports, they give us the insight into how, Bhagavad Gita needs to be applied in our day-to-day lives, how we can apply it in our day-to-day lives. So
Thank you for the explanation.
thank you
Okay.
so much. I see a
Thank you.
hand raised from Uma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhu. That's like my
Krishna.
humble obeisance.
Dandavat
Yeah.
Pranam.
Mataji, first I had a question in 18.66
Yes.
when you were talking about Prabhuji was telling about not to have association with the impious or people who are misdoers.
Mhm.
But sometimes what we see in our life is that they might be really closely related to us. So you cannot actually forgo we cannot forgo their relationship. So is it okay for us to try and correct them or train them or try to bring them to the other side?
Well, the most important thing about that's why I emphasized not associate with the materialistic mentality, not
Mentality.
necessarily the people. I mean, we can't, we there are relatives, some, many times we are grateful to them for all the things that they have done to us. We can't just say, oh, you are non-devotee, I'm not going to associate with you. No, not like that. But we should not partake of their mentality and encourage them in whatever good qualities they have, and maybe give our association to them rather than taking their materialistic association. We can give our spiritual association to them. And uh, for with relatives, words never work.
Yeah.
I have made that mistake in my life where I have tried to use words to convince the relatives, and that never works. What always works is, meaning what they really reciprocate and appreciate, is the love and care that we give them, and how we are strict by our own example. We should be strict in our own example with ourselves,
Living.
but that should not make us hard hearted towards them, because for them the only barometer is, oh, since they have taken to Krishna consciousness, they've become very aloof. If that's the message they get, they are going to not like Krishna consciousness. But if they get the message that since this person has taken to Krishna consciousness, they have become very loving and caring towards me, let me see what's there in Bhagavad Gita. I want to learn more. I want to be like this person. So then that is what will actually work. But if we tell them, read Bhagavad Gita, do this, do that, uh, they will never do it, because they've seen us from our life when we were not devotees. And it's like, now you're telling me all these things. I know what all things you have done. So,
Yeah.
so best is if we can show them our love and care and uh, support, but be strict with ourselves in our sadhana and our example. Only by example we'll be able to preach to them, especially relatives.
So, and also, if you remember the story of the miser, it's not the take mentality, but it's the give mentality. So, as much as we cultivate that of giving out, positivity, sharing our positivity with them, that's good. But also at the same time, stay surcharged ourselves. If we are running out of juice, make sure you're surcharged.
Yeah, absolutely. And also when you were answering Madhubhashini Mataji's question,
Yes.
About how you should take any negative aspects that happen to you, or
Yes.
the sukha dukhe samay kritva. I wanted to know the assumptions I'm making, is that still okay or not? So if something bad happens, I say, I could have died myself, but only my hand broke, and Krishna was the savior.
Absolutely.
Or if something good happens to me, or if say for example I get promoted, I say I wasn't even worth getting a salary. At least they still gave me a salary and they're getting me promoted. To feel
That's the
lower than
perfect
what you get
mentality.
and feel higher than what happened to you.
Yeah, this is perfect. That's the proper consciousness.
And say thank you to Krishna. Thank you, Krishna, you're giving me this. I got a deal. Our mood should be that I got a deal. Just like when we go to a shop and something is for, say, $100 and we get it for $50, We're like, wow, I got a deal. Everyone else is getting for $100. I got the feeling that we feel at that time. That is a glimpse of the tip of the iceberg of what gratefulness is. So
Exactly.
explore more in that direction and be thankful to Krishna. We'll be happy, and Krishna will be happy seeing us happy.
Sure. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Then
Hare
I pronounce
Krishna.
all wishes to Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Prabhuji? I have a question. It's been many years I've been in Krishna consciousness, and I try to understand Bhagavad Gita almost 3 times, 2 to 3 times. Initially, Garima was small, and even though I would attend personally, but it was so much distraction. I would never get to sit and read. And I tried 2 times, but really, because I never took Bhagavad Gita also in my hand, even though I heard from devotee only. So no criticism, because he is excellent. But it's just my that I could never sit, focus, understand, and hear attentively. But whenever I read Srila Prabhupada's quotes and associated with devotees and everything, I started following a lot of things. My question is, first I want to say thank you so much for giving this wonderful knowledge. And because it was 9 days in continuity, and because of Garima's enthusiasm and your inspiration, I actually opened the Bhagavad Gita and tried my best to do one chapter, whatever I could. I could not still do all because my both are very active.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very active. So I couldn't read whole, but I want to go back and read. Like 12 chapter I read, including purport and everything, and I could understand whole chapter very, very nicely because of you both. So I'm eternally grateful to you. Because I could hear, and then immediately next day I could read. And because I was at my own home, I had facility. We are praying and I'm reading, and Garima was sitting. Now my question is, Mataji, even though I'm understanding quite a bit, how do I really apply in my life throughout? Like how do we remember these teachings of Krishna in daily life, not forget and really apply? Because reading and getting over is easy.
Yes.
But putting into life and remembering that, okay, that's what Krishna is saying. He wants me to do this.
Yes.
And at times we really need it, we are not able to do it. So could you please help me?
Definitely. It's a fantastic question, Mataji. Fantastically practical question. So, I will ask you, what are the first 3 processes out of the 9 processes of devotional service? What's the first? Shravanam. And then? And then Smaranam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. That's the third. So you're asking that we are doing so much Shravanam, but how will I remember? So you're trying to jump from 1 to 3. So this is what happens. We try to miss the second step, which is Kirtanam. So whatever we hear, if we repeat that, remember the story that Prabhu was speaking of the 3 murtis? One wire going from one ear, coming out through the other, one wire staying inside, but one wire going from one ear and coming out through the mouth. That is perfect. So that is Shravanam and Kirtanam. So when we listen, we generally listen very attentively. But because we are not repeating that, we are not sharing that knowledge with others. So therefore, we are not having Smaranam. The third process is not coming naturally. The more we hear, the more we share, then third process, Smaranam, will come automatically. It will come naturally. It's guaranteed. So just try that.
Mataji, how do I share? In my personal case, I'm really not on the phones for too long with
it's okay.
People, because
it's okay.
They both are very, very active throughout my day because Garima is being homeschooled.
Right, that's fine. But if you can, when you are reading yourself, when you are yourself reading, then you can repeat it to yourself. Okay, like say for example, you're working in your kitchen, you're washing your pots or you're cooking. At that time, you can try to, speak whatever you have heard, like repeating the story, repeating the different stories, repeating, some things when you are probably putting Garima and, Krishna to sleep. Try that. Putting them to sleep, giving them some stories, repeating those things, then automatically the smaranam will come. It is automatic.
Okay, ma'am.
Just try.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
try because I really want to apply these things in my
Yes,
life instead
yes.
of just reading and okay, I have understood. But thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you both. Please accept
Thank
my humble
you.
obeisance.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you.
Mataji,
Yes, beta.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm learning Chaurashtikam. I'm almost done with Chaurashtikam.
Hari bol. You are amazing, Garima. Thank you, bacha. Thank you.
Krishna Mataji, I have a question.
Yes, Kirti.
So my quick question is that I think yesterday's session, I think in one of the slokas, my question is, when we go back to Godhead, will we come back to the to this material world? If we make any sins in God, in Krishna's sloka in Godhead, maybe we didn't serve Krishna really nicely, or we made a sin up in Godhead, we would come back to the material world and have to suffer here all over again.
Well, in the spiritual world, there is nothing called sin, because everyone is infused with Krishna prema, and their intentions are always to serve Krishna. So there is no sin. If Krishna wants us to come to this material world for his purpose, then he can send us sometimes, like he sent Srila Prabhupada for, or Jesus Christ, or so many different people who Krishna sends as his representative to reclaim conditioned souls, not that we are forced to come here by the laws of nature, but we are given a service by the Lord to come here and reclaim the conditioned souls. Then we'll come back. Otherwise, yat gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. That's the verse probably you're referring to that we discussed yesterday. That once we go there, yat gatva na nivartante, then you don't come back. Once you come to that world, you will not come back. There is nothing called sin in the spiritual world.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Prabhu and Mataji.
Thank you, beta. Hari bol.
Thank you, Mataji. This is Nandini, and I want to say this look 18.66.
Okay.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
सर्वधर्मं परित्याज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं तं सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
Hari
Hari
bol.
bol.
How young are you, beta?
I'm 9 years old.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I
Hare
have
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
This is Devahuti Mataji from Kentucky.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji. That was my daughter, Mataji.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, but Mataji, I have a question, Mataji.
Yes.
Like how Krishna says, like all the karma that we do, like it should be a nishkam karma, right? Like whatever the Krishna conscious activity we do, like kirtan, any service, any prasadam cooking, or any distribution, there should be not personal swarth in it, right?
Mhm.
Like if we do all that bhakti, and on the other hand, if we desire like obviously now we don't have any material desire, because then it's going to be a business. But actually, but we have sometimes like all that the spiritual desire, we always pray Krishna to give good knowledge for our kids, and like always keep our mind in his devotional service and all that. So like, should we keep the spiritual desire like when we do all that, or we just do all our karmas and don't desire anything? So like, can you please explain something?
Sure. Not desiring anything is not an option, because we will have some desires, you know. So Srila Prabhupada said we must know how to desire and what to desire. So spiritual desires is what we need to cultivate. You know, taking us out of the equation, we need to just cultivate the desire that Krishna, whatever you do, whatever situation you put us in, may we never forget you. That is the mantra, that always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That is the mantra that we live by, and that's the desire that we express to Krishna, that Krishna, we may be doing many, many things, but please allow me to remember you and never forget you. Okay?
Okay, Mataji.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
We have several personal requests, and Shampriya Mataji has made a wide request also to everyone, and Uma Mataji had initially requested. So we had promised that we will share our journey into Krishna consciousness. So we will try to definitely share. So first, I request Prabhu to please share his journey.
Well, I from childhood I was very much interested in knowing about the answers to the questions of life, and things like that. What happens after death? I remember in my 11th grade, I saw one of my friends reading this book on reincarnation, and I remember I was very, very intrigued. But I said, now I have to study, so I didn't. I kind of postponed it, and then one day, my brother, he brought a cassette at that time in '94 of a medley of different English songs, and in that cassette, one of the songs was by Boy George, "Bow Down, Mister." Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. And in the end, there is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra chant. And I loved that song. And so I used to keep repeating that song. And the Hare Krishna mantra was there in that song, but I didn't know this is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I thought it's just some word jugglery of Krishna, Rama, Hare. But the tune is nice. Yeah, I was just chanting it. And then one time my mother went to a home program where the host, they gave free Bhagavad Gita to uh, to everyone who participated. So my mother got that Bhagavad Gita. At that time, I was a little bit into tantra and reading books on occult and things like that, just as a curiosity. I never practiced it, although remember in the night I used to look at the candle and all of that. And one time my mother passed by my room, and the lights were closed, and I was gazing in the candle. My mother shrieked and said, "What are you doing? What are you trying to do?" And then when she went to this home program, she got the Bhagavad Gita. She came and she gave me, "You do all these different things. Here, you should read this Bhagavad Gita." That person who was giving the lecture, it was so nice. He was giving such nice lecture. Only thing, so I wish you would have come there. So I said, "Oh wow, okay. I'm exploring different things. Bhagavad Gita, I always wanted to read. This is good." It was in Hindi. I tried to read it, but then I kept it. And then at the end of my semester, I said, "Okay, let me read." Now I have vacations, so let me read this Bhagavad Gita in 18 days, 18 chapters. One chapter a day I used to study. And I remember there was Wimbledon going on at that time, and I used to watch that and try to apply the teachings of Bhagavad Gita to that, and things like that. But it was fun times, and there I read Prabhupada saying in the purports that we should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and I said, "Hey, I know this Hare Krishna mantra. It was the same Boy George song," and Boy George is my Vartma Pradarshak Guru, and I'm thankful for him for introducing me to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in this lifetime. And so it was very familiar. So Prabhupada's writings and purports seemed very familiar, and I was very much intrigued by the different processes of yoga Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. And then when my college reopened, then at that time, one of my friends, I was just sitting in the class chanting, but chant, I wouldn't chant on beats. I didn't know we had to chant 16 rounds. I knew we just have to chant and remember Krishna, because Prabhupada never says in Bhagavad Gita that we need to chant 16 rounds in the Gita. So then I saw one of my friends, he was reading Your Ever Well-Wisher, and I saw Prabhupada's photograph on that. I said, hey, I know this person. He has written the Bhagavad Gita, right? Because it was in Hindi and it said, Krishna Bhav Antarashtriya Krishna Bhavanamrit Sangha. So I thought, I don't know what this Sangha is, but the teachings are good. I'm just using it. And he said this, yeah, he's the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and there are some classes which every Tuesday evening in the hostel, some devotee comes and he gives classes. Would you like to join? I kind of got afraid. I said, whoa, I don't want to go to some devotee and learn. I know already. Then I thought, I already have read the Bhagavad Gita. Let's see what he knows, what this person knows. So I went there to the hostel, and that's when Radhesham Prabhu came. He's the temple president of Pune Temple, and he came to our college. And as soon as I saw him, I was like literally uh, taken aback by his purity, by his effulgence, and the way he was delivering. He was speaking Bhagavad Gita was everything from Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So I kind of agreed with whatever he was saying. And not only did he say things that I had understood, but he also spoke about things that I had doubts about in Bhagavad Gita and didn't know who to ask. And immediately, that was after that class, he cut some fruits, he offered to Krishna, and he distributed to everyone. And so then after that, there was a connection. I started asking him all different questions. I used to keep asking him so many different questions. Then he invited me for Mangalarti. And I remember uh, my parents, who I'm very, very grateful to, for introducing me to the Bhagavad Gita and to um, supporting me in many different ways. But they were shocked that you want to go for Mangal Arti at this time, 4:30. That means you have to wake up at 2:30, 3 o'clock to go to the temple. Have you ever seen? Because I used to, we were in the engineering days. We used to sleep late, wake up late, and anyways. So then that was the first time I went for Mangal Arti. It was a wonderful experience. Then my parents came to the temple also. They attended the Sunday feast. We went back, and then a couple of years I had association with the devotees in the college itself. And then I joined the Radha Gopinath temple in Chowpatty, and for 2 years I was there. And then after that, i I decided to continue devotional service outside of the ashram, and I joined a company called Infosys. I went to Bangalore, which is where I was introduced to some devotees from the Middle East, and they taught me a lot of things. And they actually then uh, proposed Kalasutha's marriage proposal to me at that time, because they knew each other in Middle East. Kalasutha was introduced, and her parents were introduced to Krishna consciousness in Middle East, and that's how then our proposal came, and we got uh, married together by our spiritual masters' discussions and by the devotees' arrangements in that way.
So my introduction is not that colorful as Prabhu's. Prabhu was, he is very modest about it, but he is originally actually from Uchagaon, which is Lalita Sakhi's village in Brindavan. His ancestors hailed from there, that place. So, and for me, we are basically originally from Mayapur Dham, but I grew up most of my life outside of West Bengal. I'm a Bengali by mother tongue, and but because of my father's job, we were always traveling. So first part of my life, we grew up in South India. So Mysore, Bangalore, and then from there we went to the Middle East because of my father's job. So I happen to know all the languages. I can speak, read, write around 7, 8 languages because of our constant traveling. And it was in the Middle East in the year 1993 that we were introduced formally to ISKCON. And it was a very small congregation in the Middle East that we were introduced to. My father first, actually, because me and my mother, we were still in Bangalore because I had to finish my academic year. So in middle of 93, my father went. And then we joined after my academic year was completed. So my father was the first one in the family who got introduced to ISKCON. And so when we joined him, for us, it was, for my mother and me, it was a shock initially to see such a change in my father. I was in my 7th grade at that time. And to see him so much changed and so much absorbed in Krishna consciousness was a real, it was different.
Inspirational.
It was inspirational, of course, inspirational. But we used to always search for my old father. We felt that, oh, we came after 7 months and my father's changed. So initially it was a shock, to tell you very frankly. But then afterwards, of course, when we met the devotees, the thing that really captured me at that age, I can tell you, I was 11 at that time. Sorry, not 11, 12. Yeah, 11, 12. And so the thing that really captured me at that time, which I could really relate to, was the love, the selfless love of the devotees. The devotees were so loving, they were so caring. And one thing I won't forget was the taste of prasad. Prasadam the taste was, like out of this world. I won't forget the first prasad that I had, which my mother had cooked and my father had offered to the altar that he had set up in our home. And just simple rice, dal, and it was bhindi, okra sabji. And I still remember that taste. That was like out of this world. And that was my first taste of prasad, I guess. So never forget that. And of course, the selfless love of the devotees. And then, so then from the very first day, my mother started chanting. First she was doing 8 rounds, 16 rounds, like that. And then my father, he had from day one, when he started chanting. So, and for me, I started chanting 4 rounds first. Then after that, we kept increasing. And then we met our spiritual master who visited Middle East, and seeing him was a big change in my life. It was, life changing, so to speak. And then I guess life just went on like that. And he very mercifully initiated me when I was 15. I received initiation. And this was in the year 1995. And then in 96, he, instructed us to move to Mayapur, come to Mayapur and stay there, because my father, he by profession is a chartered accountant. So, he said, our spiritual master said that Mayapur needs an auditor to take care of the accounts and the auditing. So then my father took voluntary retirement and we moved to Mayapur, and that's where my family still is, my parents. I'm the only child. So, and then, so my father was managing all the auditing and I was taking care of all the accounting in Mayapur while continuing my studies. Through correspondence, I was doing my studies. And then in 2001, Prabhu's proposal came. And Prabhu had seen a picture of mine, but I had not seen his photograph also. So we saw him directly at the wedding. So that's how. And then since 2001, for 1 year, we were in California. And then since 2002, we have been here in Houston. So this is our life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is so wonderful to hear from both of you. Oh my God. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, and you know Janeshwar Prabhu, Varsana Chitra Mataji. They are
Yes.
very dear friends of mine, and we've heard so much good things about you. And I said, I can't wait for this Gita Rahasya to start. And I couldn't believe how I thought that I don't have time. I don't have time, especially in the evening because kids are eating dinner, and then I'm trying to get them in bed and everything. But somehow, every day I made time. Well, Krishna gave me the time, and I was listening. And I was like, oh my God, my good fortune. This is so wonderful. And now I can understand Gita much more better. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you. We do not have kids. Anita
Oh,
Mataji, yes, we do not have
okay,
kids.
okay.
We are trying to, trying to just dedicate our life for serving others, serving our spiritual master's instructions. So we beg for all of your blessings so that we may continue to do that. And we consider, that anyone whom, somehow Krishna is using us as instruments to bring them to Krishna consciousness, they are like our children. So we want to just
Yes,
serve all of you as our children.
yes, we are your children. We feel that way. Thank you. And I hope you get a chance once this COVID thing is over. I hope you get a chance to come to Fort Lauderdale.
We definitely look forward to. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
one question I have, Mataji,
Yes.
is the Purushottam month, this sessions you're doing that I want to
Yes.
sign up, and I want to invite my family members who are not in Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
But how should I tell them that this is very important? What should I tell them about Purushottam month that they will be encouraged to get on the call?
Very good question. Prabhu actually has a beautiful tagline that he uses. He says, "This is a blessing in a lamp." You're getting blessings. So in especially in this pandemic time, everyone is looking for, they're wanting to take shelter in some kind of um, in just getting some blessings. Basically, you don't have to say anything that this is to do with Krishna, this is to do with Hinduism, thisism, thatism. No, you just say that this is just pure. If you want to get blessed, please come and join. And that's all. Just make your lives perfect by offering a lamp. As simple as that.
Okay.
So just try that.
And so this session that we sign up for, is it just for one day or a couple of days, or how is it?
You will see that there are time slots. So you can choose a time slot which is convenient to you. Many time slots have already been taken. So you can see whatever is available and you can choose that. And once you choose that and once you reserve your slot, then we will send you a message with a unique Zoom ID. And that Zoom ID you can share with your friends to invite them virtually to your home also. And we will also come during that selected time that you have chosen, and we will come and just do a 30 minutes program. Weekends we do a longer program, but on weekdays we will do a 30-minute session.
Oh, very nice.
But
Okay,
every day from 7:30 to 8:30 Central time
PM.
and 6 a.m. India time, we'll be doing a virtual parikrama during this Purushottam month, which on over YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, all of that. So please make sure that
All of you join.
we'll be happy if you all join us in this virtual parikrama to the Navadvip Dham, to Sri Purushottam Kshetra, which is Jagannath Puri, and to Badrinath.
In the Himalayas. Wow. So this entire 30 days we will go on yatra, first to Navadvip Dham, then to Purushottam Kshetra Dham, and then to Badrinath. So please join us.
Wonderful. And that'll be broadcasted on your Facebook page or
Facebook page, YouTube page, and also we will be doing on Zoom as well. So if you're
part, send the links for that in the Gita Rahasya group as well as the Bhagavatamrita groups. So you all can, just like you get Gita Rahasya Zoom links, you'll get the links for the virtual parikrama also every day. This is in addition to the different home programs that we would be doing. The home programs would be private, would have a private Zoom thing, but this will be a public Zoom thing. The virtual parikrama would be public anyways, every day.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So these family members, obviously, they're in different states and everything, so they can join from wherever they are.
Yes, they can come virtually. You can share that unique Zoom ID with anyone who you wish to
Okay.
join and invite.
Okay, so I will do that now.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Ramya
Krishna,
Mataji has a hand
yourself.
raised. Yes, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Ramya Mataji has her hand raised for a long time, maybe not now.
Okay. So we would specially, Anju Agarwalji, yes, please, please.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, who is
Let
this?
Ramya
Actually,
Maji go ahead.
my son want to say some slokas to you. That's why I was waiting.
Oh,
And now
okay.
he left.
Oh,
I
okay,
called
okay,
him
okay.
a
I'm
time.
so sorry. We are so sorry.
It's okay, Mataji. No need to sorry and all. I'll call him.
But
After 5
please,
minutes, I'll
maybe you
call
can
him
make
and ask him
him
to say
record
his
it
sloka.
and you can send it to us.
Oh, okay, Mataji.
Yeah?
But I told he saw you both, and he was asking Mama if I say sloka whether they will give chocolate to me. I said
Oh,
yes.
yes. I wish we could just, we will do something special for him.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful lively class till to date. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
We
Really, the
hope that you will
story
join
you
us
are
also in the Purushottam
and
month.
the way pronouncing the Prabhuji, the way you pronounce the sloka is awesome. Really, thank you for the wonderful and lively
Hare
class.
Krishna. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Lots
Thank
of
you.
things I came to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. Anju Agarwalji?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Now I can understand why the association is there, because you both have been in Bangalore and I'm from Bangalore. I'm married in Bangalore, though I'm a Brijwasi, born and brought up in Mathura Vrindavan. So thank you for everything. I just wanted to ask you, is it I have a lot of Siksha Gurus in my life. And what about Diksha Gurus? When I hear people talking about Diksha Guru, only one person comes into my mind is always Krishna. So is it necessary to have a Diksha Guru in your life?
Diksha Guru is very essential because Diksha Guru is the one who takes, it's like a agreement, that he assures that he will definitely take you back home, back to Godhead, to Krishna. So that is the unique position of the Diksha Guru. And the Shiksha Gurus, they assist the Diksha Guru in helping the disciple to fulfill that purpose. So, in that sense, yes, Diksha Guru, like even Krishna says, even Krishna had Diksha Guru, Sandipani Muni. So, Krishna himself, by his own action, he proved the importance of Guru in our life.
Okay. So how you make I just don't, my question, I don't know, can't put in words. Like for Diksha Guru, so you associate yourself with a temple, or how, or your Siksha Gurus, you make them Diksha Gurus, or what you just get just attracted, or what you just say like you just the Diksha Gurus.
Well, for Diksha Guru, yes, your Shiksha Gurus can guide you. That who could be your Diksha Guru, because see, Diksha Guru has, Krishna inspires from within, because the relationship with the Diksha Guru is an eternal relationship. So when you see your Diksha Guru, when you listen to your Diksha Guru, it will be as if your life depends on whatever he's saying. You will be able to take his words as your life and soul, so that's how the relationship, like in Hindi the saying is there ki dil pehchan jata hai, that you recognize your eternal spiritual master. So, but your Shiksha Gurus can definitely give you pointers on how you can, quickly achieve that, basically. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranams.
Thank you.
So,
Ramya Mataji.
oh,
said
Ramya
he came.
Mataji. Yes, Ramya Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama.
Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Satyam Pushpam. Palam Toyam. Nome Bhaktya. Vayachati. Tadaham Bhaktya. Vakhitam. Asnami. Vayat Atmanaha. Manmana Bhava. Madbhakto. Matyaji. Mam Namaskuru. Mam Utvaiva. Satyam Te. Pratijani. Piyusiye. Say loudly. Patyam Pushpam. Sarvasya. Shaham. Hirdi. Sanivishtu. Mataha. Smriti. Jnanam. Apohanam cha. Vedascha. Savvaya. Ahameva. Vedyaho. Vedantikut. Vedavit. Ehachaham.
Wow, wonderful. Wonderful.
Hari Bol. Congratulations. Wonderful. Thank you.
You deserve a chocolate.
Eham Achutaha Ranavana Samayuktaha Pachamiyanam Chaturvitam Mam Yomam Evam Asamudo Janati Purushotamam Sarvavit Badanti Vam Sarvabhavena Bhavada.
Wonderful.
Hari Bol.
Wonderful.
Well done, well done.
So, Mama will give you a chocolate on our behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
beta.
you.
Thank you so much. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji, for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, we can end today.
And we humbly request all the devotees who are in the Gita Rahasya group, in the Bhagavatamrita groups, please do not leave the groups. We are going to, continue on the journey. So today is the last day of the Gita Rahasya only, but our journey will continue. So please do stay on in the groups, and we will keep, looking forward to all of your association. Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Vartaman Guru Vrind ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande. Hari Hari.